The first stage is the preparatory phase. This is when she is reaching towards the hat because her arm, shoulder, and neck are generating enough force to lift the cowboy hat. The preparatory phase will include the repositioning of the hat in the hands. Her trunk is rotating and flexing when she reaches over to pick up the cowboy hat. Her elbows are flexing and extending. Her spine is flexing, her shoulder is abducting and flexing, and also a little bit of internal rotation. Her scapula is upwardly rotating. Right arm goes into pronation and her left arm goes into pronation and supination. Both thumbs are flexing and abducting at the CMC and flexing at the MCP and IP. Digits between 2 through 5 are all in flexion at the MCP, PIP, her hip is rotating, and her knee and ankle you can see palmar adduction. The next phase is the movement phase, also known as the execution phase. This involves the arms and shoulders accelerating as she moves the hat upward and forward to be placed on the head and adjusted. Cervical spine is flexing and rotating. At the shoulder, it's abducting, flexing, adducting, external rotating, and also horizontal adducting. Scapula is elevating and protracting. Her elbow is flexing and extending. Her forearm is in supination and pronation. Her wrist is in ulnar deviation and also extending. On both hands, her thumb is at the CMC joint is in abduction and flexion. Her MCP is flexing and extending, and at her IP, it's flexing and also hypoextending. Both hands, digits 2 through 5, are all flexing at the MCP, PIP, and DIP joints. At the MCP, palmar adductions taking place. Her hips are rotating, and her knee and ankle are neutral. Next is the follow-through stage. This is when she is done positioning the hat and she brings her hands back down to her side. Her cervical spine is flexing and her shoulder is extending and also abducting. Her elbow is extending and flexing, her forearm is in neutral, and her wrist is ulnar deviating and also flexing. Her CMC, MCP, and IP of the thumb are all in flexion.
Her digits 2 through 5 at the MCP, PIP, and DIP are all in flexion. Hips, her ankles, and her knees are all in neutral. This phase is the recovery phase. This is where she's regaining balance to begin the next task. Cervical spine's at rest, her shoulders in adduction, her scapula is at rest, her elbow and wrist are in extension. Her thumb at the CMC joint is in palmar adduction and flexion, her MCP and IP are in flexion. On her digits 2 through 5, her MCP, PIP, and DIP are all in flexion. Hip, knee, and ankle are all in neutral.
This falls under dressing, which is an ADL.